Daisy, a childhood nickname given to me by my father. Daisy, as in dazed and confused. You see, I was often in my own world, no matter what was happening around me. In my own world, like a daisy in a field, just blowing in the wind. Yes, as a child, I lacked focus. Sometimes as an adult, too, if I'm honest. Sort of like a ping pong ball, just bouncing around until I fall into the right place. I'm one of those people who will start cleaning in the living room, go to put something away in the kitchen, clean in there for a while, then go into the dining room, and then think, oh, I'm supposed to be in the living room. And then I go back and finish cleaning in there. This cycle repeats itself until all the rooms get clean. But they do end up clean eventually. Sometimes it looks and feels like I have no idea where I'm going or what I'm doing, what's next. But somehow, I always end up where I need to be, where I'm meant to be. When I graduated high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I went to college because that's what I was supposed to do. So I fell in line, and I went in knowing that it was an opportunity to discover, to learn, to grow, and to figure out what the next chapter would be, see where the wind would take me. And that's what I did. No plans, just in college, blowing in the wind. I had no idea what it meant to be independent or how to be, and I failed. Spectacularly. I was unorganized, time management was not a strength. I didn't know how to prioritize. I had no system or structure to manage my responsibilities. I was on the dance team, I had a work-study job and a scholarship to maintain. I was overwhelmed. But again, I didn't know how to prioritize. I don't know that I really even had priorities at that point in life. I was just focused on making friends, trying new things, finding myself, and having fun. Just enjoying life and exploring the things that came my way. And it showed. By the end of my freshman year, I was placed on an academic probation. I was failing. I was stressed and de-stressed, terrified that I would continue to fail, that I would be a failure. This was my fault, really. I was told there was a GPA expectation. I knew I wasn't making great use of my time. I knew I wasn't going to class. I knew I needed to do better, that I was capable of better. Sophomore year, I found my focus. I strategically scheduled my course load. I prioritized going to class and actually doing homework. I created a schedule and a structure to keep up with all the things. I was starting to bounce back. But it wasn't enough. By the end of the year, I was 0.2 GPA points from where I needed to be to maintain my scholarship. I missed the mark. I failed. I was devastated. What would I do now? What would I tell people? What would my parents think? What's everyone going to say? My parents were disappointed, of course, but they gave me space. I was ashamed. No more big, shiny university, no more dance team, no more scholarship. I moved home, which wasn't far, and went back to the old faithful retail job. It was summer. I was tempted to drown my sorrows in more bad choices, and maybe I did a little. I stayed out late, I slept a lot, and blasted burned CDs of emotional playlists. But I knew I couldn't stay there. So, back into my own world I went, back to my field of daisies. I spent the rest of the summer there, reflecting, observing. And then it became clear what I needed to do, what I had to do. I had to keep going. What else was there to do? I needed to keep going, keep living, keep learning, and so that's what I did. Yes, I was upset. Upset with myself, upset with the situation, upset about all the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And I lived that. But I refused to be consumed by it. It was time to move on. I'd much rather see the light and believe there was value in the experience, and there was. This experience was a pivotal point in my journey. It was crucial to my development because it taught me many lessons. How to deal with frustration, anger, regret, and disappointment. how to work through feelings of doubt, how to keep going when it felt like I had messed up so bad that there was just no going back. This experience taught me to be resilient, that resilience was inside of me, part of who I am. This experience taught me that no matter how big the challenge or how bad the misstep, I'd figure it out. I just needed to stay focused on my path. Staying focused in general remains a challenge. This experience helped me understand that resilience comes from within. Yes, we can draw inspiration, courage, motivation from others, but it's up to us to be resilient, to be. It wasn't until later in life that I truly understood the power in my ability to just be, and to be whatever I desired, to be Daisy, and much, much more, to be a mom, to be a helper, to be an entrepreneur, to be an academic, to be passionate, to be great, to be enough. Being can be hard. It requires us to tune in. It also requires us to let go. Tune in, be present, and let go of everything else. Easier said than done, right? But as a person who spends a lot of time in wander, like a daisy in the field, just blowing in the wind, being is in my nature. My tendency to be was also nurtured. My dad nicknamed me Daisy, and he'd often have a good laugh at my free-flowing spirit. But he nurtured it as well. He was an observer, an explorer, a person who lived in the moment. He would point out a beautiful sunset, a lovely breeze, a nice melody. He would point these things out and then bask in them. And I never realized it until after he was gone, but this tendency in me came from him, by nature and by nurture. And as often as he would tease me about these moments, he'd encourage them, and we'd explore them together. The ability to be, to practice acceptance, to take each moment for what it is, makes us resilient. The other part of resilience is the will to keep going when things get hard. This is in my nature, too. You see, I like a good challenge. I would describe myself as ambitious. I want to see and go for all the possibilities that come to me. A strong will is definitely in my nature, even when it's working against me, or I'm working against myself. My will was nurtured by my mom. My mother always made sure everything was okay, and made sure we believed everything would be okay. She showed me that you can make a lot with very little when you're willing to work, to spend the time, energy, and intention, having the drive to have a plan, even when times when there is no plan. It takes a lot of will to claim, believe, and then make happen. I learned this from watching her. She taught me what a powerful woman looks like. I remember having lunch with her shortly after the appeal to keep my scholarship had failed. I sat there in tears, feeling like the world was ending. And she told me everything would be okay. She told me I was not a failure, and I'd still go on to do great things. And I believed her. There are so many others who inspire my will in different ways. People placed in my life to show me myself, to inspire my resilience. My husband, the strongest-willed person I know. I love that about him, even when it's working against me. He works relentlessly to take care of our family, to open up doors the world tries to lock him out of. His will is quite remarkable, and it inspires me every day. My kids, they've shown me my will in different ways. The experience of carrying them, bringing life into this world, and then maintaining it, motherhood is a miracle that is the most beautiful illustration of will I have ever experienced. It has been 18 years since I lost that scholarship, and despite that failure, I kept going. I went on to complete my undergraduate degree, then my master's, and at the end of 2023, my PhD. In this time, my will was tested a lot. I grew as a person and professional. I became a wife and mother. And inspired by those closest to me, I tapped into the will within. I also leaned into my ability to just be, retreating to my field of daisies as often as I needed, taking time to reflect and reset. So when things get tough, when times get tough, when I need to find my resilience, I tune out, tune in, and tap in. Tune out the noise, the fear, and the doubt. Tune into the present moment and all there is to be grateful for. And tap into my will, the strength that lies within.